Hello, good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. My hair is getting kind of long. Not too long, just a little bit. But I've been thinking I might have to try cutting my own hair one of these days if it gets too long and I can't go to the barber shop. Or I'll just let it get long and fluffy. We'll see. Today I have my kitty cat mug. He doesn't have a face or anything on the back. And we're going to keep reading Lety Out Loud by Angela Cervantes. And you might hear someone say Angela Cervantes, because that is the Spanish way to pronounce that name. I'm going to take the dust jacket off so I don't wrinkle it up. See, remember that little dog that we saw on the cover? Pretty sure that's Spike. Wasn't that his name, Spike? The dog that they're trying to find a home for. And let's see, there's our bookmark. Look how much we've read so far. We've read these pages at the bottom, so we're not quite halfway through, but we're getting pretty far. Do you remember what is on the bookmark? Picture on the bookmark? It was one of the wild things from Where the Wild Things Are. So I'll just slide him out. See, he's stuck in there with a magnet that holds his little body together. Get him out of the way. And we're starting with chapter 10 called Colossally Perfect. Oh, but I wanted to mention, as we've talked about, this book is on the Latino Books Month Award, Rhode Island Latino Books Month Award nominee list for 2020. It's in grades 3 through 5. But again, if you're not in grades 3 through 5 and you want to read this book and the other books in that level, that's totally fine. Just read 3 books in your preferred grade level. And as long as you're 18 or under, you're allowed to vote before the end of May for the winning book in the grade level that you choose. And Latino Books Month is a project of Rhode Island Latino Arts. And we would like to thank the Rhode Island State Council on the Arts, the Providence Dept of Art, Culture, and Tourism, and the Rhode Island Foundation for their support to RILA and for the arts community. And Charlie has just joined me. She's sitting here next to me. You might see her pop in. Chapter 10, Colossally Perfect. This little one was lost and found, Dr. V said, speaking over the noisy dogs in the small dog room. He handed Bela to Lety. No one claimed her. Charlie. Lety wrapped the Pomeranian in her arms. How could no one come looking for her? Daisy, the shelter manager, gave Bela a good scratch behind the ears, and she didn't have a microchip, so sadly no way to locate her family, Daisy said. Can you imagine losing this love bug and never looking for her? Who would do that? I don't know, Lety said as Bela licked her chin and neck nonstop. Is there anything else I should mention in her profile? Anything other than she's a little love bug that likes to kiss? The thing about Pomeranians is that they're typically no more than 5 pounds, but they have supersized personalities, Dr. V answered. Bela is probably offended that we put her in the small dog room because in her head she's as big as a Great Dane. Whoever adopts her needs to be on their toes. On their toes, Lety repeated, uncertain about what he meant. You mean like super fast? More like active and alert, Dr. Villalobos said. Oh, yes, perfect. Got it. Big personality and active. Lety thought of the 5 words she had to include in the profiles. Would you say that Bela has a colossal personality? Colossal? Dr. V raised his eyebrows in surprise. That's a big word, Daisy said to Lety with a wink. Lety giggled because colossal meant massively big. Sure, Dr. V said finally. Colossal is accurate. Thank you. Dr. V, I think I have enough to finish her profile. I can't wait to see it, Dr. V said. It's not every day that colossal shows up in an animal profile. I don't think I've ever seen that. I can't say I have either, Daisy said, adjusting her black-rimmed glasses onto her nose and directing her green eyes onto Lety like two spotlights. I'm trying to expand my vocabulary over the summer, Lety said. She felt a quick pang of worry that maybe she'd said too much, asking Dr. V about the word colossal. If they found out about the contest between her and Hunter, would they kick them out? Would she lose her chance to adopt Spike? Lety handed Bela back to Dr. Villalobos. How is Spike doing with his foster family? So far, so good, is what I'm hearing, Dr. Villalobos answered. Will he return to the shelter? Oh, yeah, the foster family is temporary. I want to find a family for him that won't give up on him, not just someone who wants him because he was on the news. You know what I mean? Lety's heart jumped at the thought that Spike might be back at the shelter soon. That's smart, Lety said. So anyone can adopt him when he's back at the shelter? Well, not just anyone, Dr. V answered. They will have to meet my strict qualifications. Lety felt panic tighten around her. She searched his face for some sign that he was joking like he often did. Strict qualifications? Daisy snorted, and Dr. V finally broke into a smile. What? I'm being totally serious. I've failed Spike so many times, sending him home with people who turned around and brought him back. It's not your fault, Lety said. You tell him, Lety, Daisy smiled. He's too hard on himself. This time I won't send Spike home with just anyone, Dr. Villalobos continued. His next forever family will have to prove themselves to me. How? Lety asked. Good question, Daisy said, shaking her head at Dr. V. How? I'll just know, Dr. V said. In my head and heart, I'll know. Lety nodded, convinced she knew what she had to do. She had to write the best profiles to prove herself to Dr. V. She said a quick goodbye and darted out of the room toward the multipurpose room. As the cat heroes sat at a table making feather toys, she revised Bela's profile to include colossal and cleaned up some misspellings and run-on sentences. Bela. My name says it all. I'm 5 pounds of colossal beauty and personality. I have smoky black fur and honey brown eyes. At the shelter, everyone calls me a love bug. Like all Pomeranians, I am smart and playful. I know how to sit and stay, but I need a patient human to show me how to not jump on everyone and cover them with kisses. I can't help it. I am always excited to meet people and be their love bug. Will you be mine? Visit me at Furry Friends Animal Shelter today. Once she'd submitted it, Lety headed to the cat room to start profiles on Bandit, Lorca, and Chicharito. As she passed through the reception area, she spotted Alma speaking to a family at a high-top table and guiding them through adoption papers. Soon, another volunteer came out with Sawyer on a leash. The family rushed to pet him. Sawyer was being adopted. Hunter immediately came to Lety's mind. She had to find him and let him know. She rushed to the cat room, where she had heard that Hunter was finishing his profile on Messi, a brown Siamese. She spotted him right away, holding the cat on his lap, petting him to sleep. Hunter! Sawyer is being adopted, Lety said. Hunter's face went pale and twisted into a frown, but he didn't move. He gazed down at Messi, who was taking a good stretch across Hunter's lap. I thought you'd want to see him before he goes. Hunter looked up. It's not a big deal, he said with a shrug. All it means is that I'm winning the contest now. 1 down, 4 more to go. Lety stepped back in shock. Was this really just a contest to him? Didn't he care about the animals? She knew he did, because he told her about Gunner. But you, Lety stammered, I just thought that because he reminded you of Gunner that you'd want to... Lety stopped talking when Hunter shrugged again. She was embarrassed that she had tried to be nice to Hunter. What was wrong with him? How could he think of the contest when he should be rushing out to kiss Sawyer goodbye? Never mind. Brisa and Kennedy came over and stood next to her. What's going on? Kennedy asked. Sawyer is being adopted, Lety answered. The family is leaving with him right now. Let's go give him a goodbye kiss, Brisa said, taking Lety's hand. The girls joined Dr. V outside the shelter as the family put Sawyer into a large kennel cage in the back of their SUV. Sawyer's tail wagged as he barked excitedly. As the family backed out of the parking lot, Dr. V and the three girls waved. You girls ever heard of a band named the Beatles? Dr. V asked. One of the other volunteers commented that the girls were too young to know them. Dr. V covered his face and laughed. I guess I'm showing my age. Anyway, the Beatles had this song about how money can't buy love, Dr. Villalobos explained. And whenever I hear it, I think to myself that those guys must have never paid an adoption fee. The girls laughed. Those folks just bought 70 pounds of the truest form of unconditional love known to humankind. That's what I'm saying. How does the song go? Brisa asked. Dr. V and the volunteer started singing the song as they strolled through the parking lot back toward the shelter. Brisa clapped her hands along with Dr. V and tried to pick out the lyrics and sing along. Kennedy sang and danced around too, until she nudged Lety with her elbow. Look who's gloating over his win, Kennedy said. Lety looked over to where Kennedy pointed and saw Hunter peering out from behind the window blinds in the shelter reception. Lety was confused. Why hadn't he come out to kiss Sawyer goodbye? She followed Hunter's gloomy gaze toward the SUV that carried Sawyer away. It wasn't the smug look of someone winning a stupid contest. It was a look of regret. Do you know the song Can't Buy Me Love by the Beatles? It's very catchy. Chapter 11. 2 Cats Away from Victory. Hunter was winning. Outside on the deck of Kennedy's home, the girls checked the shelter's website. Once a dog or cat was adopted, the website coordinator marked the furry friend's picture with the word adopted, plus double exclamation points. It would stay that way for a couple of days before the website coordinator removed the profiles entirely from the website. Sawyer and Kenzie's profiles were both tagged with a bold adopted. Kenzie, Lety exclaimed in joy. Someone finally stopped at her cage. I'm so happy. Yay, Brisa added. Kennedy refreshed the page, hoping Bela or Finn would be marked as adopted too. When their statuses didn't change, Kennedy tapped on Scout's profile. I have to give it to him. Hunter has a way with words, Kennedy admitted. The three girls huddled around the iPad to read Scout's profile. Scout. Do you know what you get when you mix a giant schnauzer and a poodle? You get a smart, rambunctious, and affectionate schnoodle, like me. I'm a house-trained dog that enjoys going outside to fetch balls and sticks. Every ball you pitch, I'll catch. Every stick you throw, I'll return. All the love you give, I'll give you more. I told you I'm a smart pooch. Look no further, your Scout is here. Visit me at Furry Friends Animal Shelter today. He nailed it, Brisa said. Has he used Scrumptious yet? Yep, Kennedy said. With a few taps, she opened Messie's profile. Above it was an adorable image of the skinny chocolate-brown Siamese cat tangled up in blue yarn. Is it a comet? Oh, sorry, this is Messie's profile. Messie. Is it a comet? Is it lightning? No, it's just me, Messie, brightening up your life with my super feline speed and Siamese charms. I'm as swift as a cheetah with a ball of yarn between my soft brown paws, and I'm up to date on all of my cat shots. After a long day of playing around, I enjoy a scrumptious meal and a good stretch. Can I be a part of your winning team? Visit me at Furry Friends Animal Shelter today. Scrumptious was too easy for him, Brisa said. I wish I had given him a bigger word. He still hasn't written Brooke's profile, so you can catch up this weekend, Lety, Kennedy said. How are the profiles going for Lorca, Bandit, and Chicharito? Lety pulled her notebook from her book bag. I have notes about Bandit, but I need more information for Chicharito's profile. Ah, Chicharito, the tabby with the beautiful brown eyes, Brisa squealed. He is an angel. Angel? Kennedy asked in disbelief. That little rascal shredded all the newspaper in his cage and then destroyed the feathered toys we made for him and his sisters. Noted. Chicharito is a four-legged monster, Lety wrote down with a smirk. Anything else? He's neutered, Kennedy said. He has all of his shots, Brisa added. Anything special? The girls gave her a blank look. I got nothing, Kennedy said. He's a cat. He sleeps, purrs, licks his paws, and then will suddenly attack your feet for no good reason. I got something, Brisa said. He is named for a soccer player. Dr. Villalobos loves soccer like me. Okay, that helps. All I have to do is find a way to use infectious, fusion, or supersonic now. Lety dropped her pen down on the table. Any other impossible tasks I can add to my list today? Kennedy suddenly gasped and dropped her head into her hands. Scout's been adopted, she announced. Hunter is now 2 cats away from victory. Brisa and Lety leaned in to see Scout's profile marked Adopted. Oh no, Brisa said softly. But it's good for Scout. Yes, but bad for Lety, Kennedy said. She's way behind. Lety frowned at Kennedy's words. She started school way behind in everything. English, math, science. But she had caught up with everyone. She didn't read and write at a high school level like Hunter, but she studied hard, made good grades. Mrs. Camacho had even told her that she could opt out of ELL permanently for middle school next year, but Lety wasn't so sure if she was ready. As if reading her mind, Brisa spoke up for her. She can catch up. Kennedy nodded. I know. I'm not trying to be mean, Lety. I just hate it if you lost. I don't want you to spend the rest of summer camp working in the pantry. Your hair will stink like pet food. Brisa let out a loud cackle. You will be very popular with all the dogs at the shelter. I'm only interested in one dog, my sweet Spiky. Then show Dr. Villalobos you're the best shelter scribe, Kennedy said. I won't let Spike down, Lety smiled, although she felt like she could pass out from panic. Why did she ever agree to this stupid contest? There was so much at stake. She could lose and end up with smelly pet food hair. Hunter would be proven right. Her English wasn't good enough for her to be a shelter scribe. Then there was also the risk that Dr. Villalobos would find out about the contest and decide that she wasn't fit to be Spike's forever family. She really wanted that dog. I got this, Lety said. Fusion meant the mixing of 2 or more things. In this case, Chicharito was a mix of pure trouble and playful cuteness. She picked up her pen and flipped to a blank page in her notebook. She knew exactly how to use fusion in Chicharito's profile. Chapter 12, Bela on Hold. On Tuesday morning, just as Brisa and Lety arrived at the shelter, Mario wasted no time in making sure that they knew that Hunter was only 2 cats away from winning. Both of Hunter's profiles for Missy, the brown Siamese, and Brooks, the black and white tuxedo cat, were posted on the website and, according to Mario, both were receiving lots of clicks. Bad news for you is that Finn's profile had to be removed. Tough luck. Sorry. What? Why? Lety asked, putting her book bag down on a table in the multipurpose room. Who took it down? Brisa said, crossing her arms over her chest. She switched to Spanish, which she knew Mario understood, since his grandparents were originally from Guanajuato, Mexico. Lo hiciste tú. I didn't do it, Mario said with his hands up. I don't have that kind of power. Sheesh! Talk to Dr. V. And one more thing. That little dog that kisses everyone is on hold. Letty scrunched her eyebrows at him. Was he talking about Bela? That means she's reserved for a family. She's practically adopted. They just have to pick her up. Wow, Letty, Brisa exclaimed. That was fast. The news made Letty happy, but she was stuck on what Mario had said about Finn. I have to talk to Dr. Villalobos, Letty said to Brisa. She rushed off and found him in the clinic. He was stocking medicines and talking to 3 cats who'd just been neutered or spayed and were wrapped up tight in towels like little cat burritos. I really like Finn's profile, and we got a few calls about him this weekend. But his issue with hats concerns me, Dr. V explained to Letty. People wanted to adopt him? Dr. V nodded. They were interested, but I didn't feel right sending him home with a family until I fully addressed his behavioral issues. Letty nodded. She understood. However, without Finn, she was short one profile. This meant there was no way to beat Hunter and win the contest. The most she could hope for was a 4-4 tie at the end of the week. I'm sorry, Letty. Are you upset? Me? No, she said, not realizing she had been frowning. She forced a smile. I only want him to find a forever family. Me too, Dr. V said. I know you're putting a lot of time into writing the profiles, so I wanted you to know that that was the only reason for taking Finn's profile down. I understand, Letty said. Is there maybe another dog I could write about? I'm sure there is, but let me give it some thought. You know, you and Hunter are writing some phenomenal profiles. Thanks. Hunter wrote a profile. I forget which one it was, but he used beckon. And then in another one he used rambunctious? He shook his head in amazement. Totally blew my mind. He writes at a high school level. And you, he continued. He grabbed a flyer from the top of his desk. This Chicharito profile is like a professional advertisement. Really? Dr. Villalobos read the profile out loud, making Letty squirm. Was he on to the contest? Chicharito. At the tender age of 8 months, I've already scored many goals at the shelter. I have all my shots, and I'm neutered, which means I am one of a kind. No copycats here. I play fair with others. You can ask my siblings, Solo and Sinclair. No yellow cards for me. If you're looking for a young tabby that is a fusion of angelic good looks and winning charm, visit me at Furry Friends Animal Shelter and take me home today. Fusion? Dr. V said. Angelic? Letty felt suddenly warm all over, like she was the one wrapped up tight in a towel. Then today, Hunter submitted a profile for Brooks using the word cerise, Dr. V continued. I had to Google it. Have you ever heard that word? Letty was certain that her face was flushed cerise at that very moment. Dr. Villalobos was onto them. She was certain of it. Still, she couldn't deny that she knew the word. It is a deep pink color, Letty said. It is very popular. People use it for an accent wall in the dining room or master bedroom. At least that is what my mom says. Accent wall, you say? Dr. V said, arching his eyebrows. Your mom must be a home designer? She paints homes and apartments, Letty answered. Did you teach Hunter that word? I mean, doesn't it seem strange that he knows it? Dr. V said, which made Letty nervous. She could almost see the pieces in Dr. V's head coming together. She wished that one of the cat burritos would wake up, but they were as still and quiet as the air closing in on her. Hunter and I hardly ever talk, Letty answered. She desperately wanted to change the subject. Dr. Villalobos, how's Spike doing? Will he be back soon? He'll be back, Dr. V said, when his phone pinged. He pulled it from his jeans pocket. Letty was grateful for the distraction. She'd thought she was done for. Somehow he knew about the contest. Or maybe he didn't, but he was definitely suspicious of all the words they were using. Bella's forever family is here, he said, looking up from his phone. Let's go see the little love bug off. Lety let out a big sigh of relief. For now, Bela had saved her, but she had to warn Hunter. Dr. V was definitely onto them. Chapter 13, All That Matters. Lety found Hunter in the multipurpose room, writing in his notebook. As she stepped behind him, she peeked over his shoulder and saw that he wasn't writing at all. He was sketching a dog. The dog looked a lot like Sawyer, but she knew it must be his dog, Gunner. She had planned to warn him about Dr. V asking about the big words they were using, but instead left him alone with his sketch. She took a seat next to Brisa and Kennedy as the guest speaker turned on the computer and projector. The score is 3-1 now, Kennedy said, flashing a thumbs up at Lety. Congrats on Bela. Lety smiled, pleased with herself. But then she remembered about Finn. Kennedy didn't know yet that Finn had been removed from the website and was no longer adoptable. She would have to tell her later since the guest speaker was starting. The speaker's name was Zoe. She was part of a program called the Rescue Team. She clicked through a slideshow of photographs that showed members of the rescue team saving chained-up dogs from the cold and delivering pet food to families that had limited financial resources. Lety knew that limited financial resources meant families like hers. We work closely with the folks in the pantry. They prepare bags of pet food, and we deliver them every month to families who need them. If they can't afford food for their pets, why do they have them? One of the girls asked. Zoe was just about to answer when Hunter cut her off. Because they love them, Jenna. Duh, Hunter said. Just because they don't have money doesn't mean they don't have hearts. Chill out, Hunter, Kennedy sighed. Sheesh, she was just asking a question. A stupid question, Hunter mumbled. You're stupid, Jenna snapped. I wasn't saying they didn't have hearts. Okay, there are no stupid questions, Zoe said, rushing in to control the discussion, but Jenna, Kennedy, and Hunter were still mouthing off at one another. And no one is stupid, okay? Zoe said, raising her voice to get the three of them to stop. Lety felt sorry for Zoe and sat up straight to show she was paying attention. Brisa followed Lety's example. Once the bickering back and forth stopped, Zoe started again. Sometimes people's lives change, Zoe continued. Lety looked at Hunter. He had pulled his cap down over his eyes and was staring at his sketch. People lose their jobs, divorce, or get sick, and all of a sudden, they struggle to feed their families, including their pets. Our rescue team helps identify these families. We supply them with food and access to veterinary care until the family is back on their feet. It's rewarding to lend this type of support to our community. Zoe scanned the room as if checking to see if she had put out the fire. Jenna pouted. Hunter dipped down farther into his chair and under his baseball cap. Lety was unsure if now was a time to speak, but she wanted to thank Zoe. She'd always felt that the most important words she'd learned in English were thank you. Mrs. Camacho always said that you could tell a lot about a person by what words they want to learn in another language. In the 3rd grade, Lety remembered a group of 5th grade girls stopping her after recess and asking her how to say ugly pig and go away in Spanish. It was the only time that those girls had ever spoken to her. On the spot, Lety had decided instead to tell him that ugly pig was guapa and go away was sale bien. As they walked away and repeated the new Spanish words back and forth to one another, Lety wondered why they didn't want to learn nice Spanish words or expressions. If they only wanted to say mean things in Spanish, then what did that say about their character or how they felt about Spanish speakers like her? By teaching them nice words, Letty felt like she had achieved a small victory. Zoe called on Letty. "Thank you for helping the families keep their pets," Letty said. "You're welcome," she said with a smile. Letty wanted to say more. She wanted to tell her thank you for helping out families who were poor in cash, but not poor in love. She wanted to tell Zoe and the entire room that if her family had a dog, it would be the most loved animal in the world. Her father, she knew, would feed the dog before he fed himself. That's how he was in Mexico with all the strays that roamed the streets. Her mom also loved animals. In Mexico, her paintings of stray dogs and cats were always bestsellers among European tourists. When she sold one, she gave the strays a tasty treat of a tamale or taco. Letty wanted to say all of this, but hesitated, frozen silent by her doubts about whether she could express it correctly in front of the whole room. We don't want money to be a reason for a family. We don't want money to be a reason for a family to give up their pet, Zoe said. That solves nothing. That's right, Letty said, surprising herself. Brisa and Kennedy snorted and giggled at her outburst. As long as you love them, that's all that matters, Hunter muttered from under his hat. A wave of shocked murmurs spread through the entire room. Was Hunter talking about love? Brisa passed Letty a look of pure shock. Mr. Shruggy Llama has a corazon, she whispered. Letty wasn't shocked that Hunter had a heart. She had witnessed him talking about his dog, Gunner. She had heard his soft voice. She peered over at Hunter, and when she did, he caught her glance and smiled. Let's see. I think we can do one more chapter. I wanted to mention that the words that Letty taught those two girls, guapa and sale bien. Guapa means attractive, and sale bien, I believe, means like have a good day. It means like sale is go and bien is well, I think. So it's like, see you later. Hope everything goes well for you. That's, with my limited knowledge of Spanish, I believe that's what that means. Chapter 14 is called Don't Make Eye Contact. Ready to swoon? Letty asked Kennedy and Brisa. Bandit's profile was pinned up on the bulletin board in the reception area where the girls waited for their rides home. Bandit. Ready to swoon? I'm a domestic shorthair with coal black fur and sapphire blue eyes. My favorite activities are chasing feathers, playing with balls of yarn, and rolling around in newspaper. I used to live in a home, so I know how to use a litter box. My former family said that the only reason they had to give me up was because everyone was sneezing. I hope I don't make you achoo. Like a true bandit, I will steal your heart with my infectious purring. Visit me at Furry Friends Animal Shelter and take me home today. Nice use of infectious, Kennedy added. How's Lorca's profile? Are you done with it? Almost, Letty said. Kennedy seemed happy with that and waved goodbye as she rushed out to her mom's car. Normally, the girls would go over to Kennedy's house to swim, but Brisa's mom was picking them up today and taking them to the grocery store. She was 6 months pregnant and craving a special Bolivian dish called picante de pollo. She wanted to make it for lunch. As Letty watched Kennedy jump into her mom's white SUV, she spotted Hunter outside alone. He shifted from foot to foot, kept his head down and his hands tucked into his jeans pockets. She hoped Brisa's mom would show up soon so that she could say bye to Hunter as they left, but as soon as she wished it, a tan car drove up. Sorry I'm late, Hunter, the woman called out from behind the wheel. Letty moved closer to the window to watch. 2 little boys were in the back seat. It's okay, Grandma, Hunter said, opening the passenger door. He was about to take a seat when she yelled out again. Oh, Hunter, I left the gas thing open again. I got it, Hunter exited the car to shut the gas cap. It's all set. Lety watched as he got into the front passenger seat and his grandma grabbed his face and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Thank you, baby, she said. Just then, Brisa's mother arrived, pulling up behind Hunter's grandma's car. Lety and Brisa quickly rushed out as the tan car drove away. Surprise! Eddie shouted as the girls got into the car. Are you surprised to see me? Lety shook her head. No, I knew you were coming. I heard Mom on the phone with Mrs. Quispe this morning. I wasn't surprised either, Eduardo, Brisa said with a wink. Did you see Mrs. Camacho today? I see her every day. She brought her guitar. You guys sang today? What songs? We sang This Land is Your Land and a song called Beautiful. I want to sing songs, Brisa said with a pout. You're so lucky. I know, Eddie quipped. But you get to play with cats, Brisa, Lety said. That's fun. You're right, but I miss Mrs. Camacho and her guitar. Sing me Beautiful, Eduardo, por favor. Okay, Eddie said before starting up the first verse in his small voice. After a few verses, Brisa's mom smiled at him through the rearview mirror. Tienes la voz de un ángel, she said. Eddie blushed but continued singing. Lety was amazed at her fearless brother, who was happy to sing sappy songs about being beautiful. At the grocery store, while Brisa and her mother stopped at the pharmacy counter, Eddie and Lety looked at magazines in a nearby aisle. Eddie had just grabbed a magazine filled with word searches and crossword puzzles when a loud man's voice made them jump. It was as if the voice was right behind them. Lety and Eddie turned around, but the angry voice was coming from somewhere else. That's when it hit Lety that the voice was coming from the pharmacy area where Brisa and Mrs. Quispe were. You're in America, the man's harsh voice roared again. Lety peeked around the aisle toward the pharmacy. From the edge of the aisle, she saw a man in a red baseball cap yelling behind Brisa and Brisa's mom. Eddie peeked too. Who is he yelling at, Lety? I don't know, Lety said. She stepped out of the aisle. The man was hovering too close behind Brisa and her mom at the pharmacy counter. Their backs were to him as he yelled over them toward the pharmacist. Lety didn't like the way it looked. She took a few steps closer but stopped once Brisa met her gaze. Brisa shook her head slowly at Lety in warning, as if saying, Stay where you are. Lety stopped in her tracks. Sir, you cannot yell at them that way. You need to, said a woman's voice from behind the pharmacy counter. I'm speaking to you too. You need to speak English, the man said. Why are you helping them in Spanish? This is America. You're just encouraging them. Lety hated the way he said encouraging them. He spit the words out of his mouth like something that tasted bad. Sir, I'm going to have to call my manager if you don't stop this, the woman said. Brisa's mom dabbed her eyes with a tissue. Brisa took her mom's hand, but they stood and remained there as the man hovered behind them. Lety's mind shot back to what Dr. Villalobos had told them about aggressive dogs. Be stiff, rigid, don't make eye contact. She stared down at the eggshell white tiled floor with the smoky gray swirls. Eddie clutched Lety's arm with moist hands. Why is he yelling? Eddie asked. I don't know, Lety said. He's mad. About what? Lety shushed her little brother. Don't make eye contact with him. If you don't know English, learn it or go back to Mexico where you came from, the man continued. Eddie suddenly raced toward the man. You can't talk to my friends like that, Eddie yelled. They're from Bolivia, not Mexico, and they're learning English like me. Eddie, Lety yelled, going after her brother. Eddie wedged himself between the man and Brisa's mom, but Lety quickly pulled him out and wrapped her arms around his small frame. She looked at the man and got a good view of his red freckled face and brown hair. The man paused and looked over Eddie and Lety. She felt her brother trembling in her arms, and it made her angry. The man wouldn't hurt them, would he? They were in a grocery store filled with hundreds of other people. They were safe, right? Didn't he see Brisa's mom was pregnant? She was filling a doctor's prescription. Why was he picking on them? Tell him, Lety, Eddie said, crinkling his brows at the man. Brisa finally turned toward the red-faced man, but looked too frightened to say anything. Brisa's mom was crying now, and the woman behind the counter was trying to comfort her. Leave us alone, Lety said, shoving the words out as straight as she could, so they didn't sound shaky. The man took a step back and scoffed. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, said another man who was dressed in a shirt and tie. His name tag read Store Manager. Lety's shoulders dropped in relief. Eddie wriggled in her arms, and she realized that she'd been holding him too tight. She loosened her grip around him, but he stayed snug, not moving an inch. You tell your employees to stop speaking Spanish. This is America. See if I shop here at your store again. That's probably best, sir. We appreciate your past business, the manager said, walking behind the man, down the aisle, and out the store exit. It was all over. Lety felt lightheaded, like the time a soccer ball had smacked her on the side of the head. Mrs. Quispe grabbed all of them close to her and bawled softly as the woman behind the counter offered gentle apologies. A few people wandered by and gave them sympathetic glances. That man was mean, Lety, Eddie cried, turning to her and wrapping his skinny arms around her waist. Why was he like that? Lety held her brother close. I don't know, but he's gone now. That's the end of that chapter. That was hard. That was hard to read. It makes me think of when I go to the pharmacy near my house and I hear a lot of people speaking in Spanish, and sometimes the pharmacists and the other store employees talk to them in Spanish, and it always makes me happy to hear them speaking in the language that they're comfortable in. So I hope scenes like this become less and less common, but I know that it's not the same everywhere. Well, I'll see you all tomorrow. We are now on page 105 out of 197 pages. So we are over halfway. And when we started today, we were less than halfway. Have a good afternoon.